do you get people asking about, it's like coming to you and saying, like, how am I going to still be authentic? Because this word authentic is just absolutely everywhere, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so they must come to you like, how am I going to still be me? What would you say if someone came to you and said that?
It's probably the most common fear that people have, apart from the fear of speaking itself. It's that losing themselves or losing that authenticity. And I always kind of come back to the idea about whenever you learn a new skill, is the future version of you that already is able to do that skill the authentic version, or is it you now? Because the authentic version who you are now is where you are. It won't get you further. So to be able to become someone else, you need to change something about you. And when it comes to speaking, your speaking is just another instrument. When I started playing guitar and I was bad, I didn't get people coming to me and say, oh, it's so inauthentic, Josh. Gross, you're being so fake right now with that guitar. You're learning how to play the instrument, and just like speaking, but because it's biological and integrated with you, it feels a little bit different when you learn to play that instrument differently. So it's going to feel inauthentic, but if you trust the process, then you're going to become a beautiful speaker. And in the same way, a chef will learn a recipe and they'll get better at the recipe. When they finally get better at the recipe, they add their own little spice. And that little piece of spice becomes their authentic dish. That becomes their confident version. So whenever you start your speaking journey, it's going to feel weird because you're following someone else's recipe.
And so what do you think the obsession with authenticity actually is about?
Most people don't even define what that means. They're tying it generally to something negative. So they've seen a speaker they don't like. They've seen somebody online, an influencer, it's like, hey guys, we're going to this thing today, and it's not who they are, and they don't want to be that person on camera, they don't want to be that person in real life because they've spoken negatively about it, and they've heard other people speak negatively about those speakers. So their idea of authenticity is generally based off, I don't want to be that person specifically, not about who can I become if I learn these skills.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's really powerful. So talk us through a little bit about what you actually practically do for people and how you do that.
It's my favorite thing in the world. I generally run 3-day events normally. I'm not pitching here, just by the way, just what I do. You asked the question, so I'm going to tell you.
You might a little bit, but that's okay.
Buy my courses.
It's NLP.
No. So typically what we go through is an entire speech formula, a speech structure, a template that you can use, replicate, copy, and paste for everything you're going to do. So whether it's going to be a presentation, a pitch, a keynote, a TEDx talk, or just even basic conversations, you use pieces of that template within your life. So day one, we normally go through what your message is going to be to become really clear, to be A to B rather than A to H, then to X, then to Z, and then to D, then E, then maybe if you get to it back to B. Right? We get really clear on what your message is and structure the speech in a way that actually connects with people and moves people intentionally along those points. So day one, we get really clear on that. And day two, we start going on a lot more storytelling. Because if you're able to tell a good story, you're able to move people's worlds. There was this quote that I heard, I don't know who it was, but they said, those who rule the world, those who tell stories rule the world, so learn to tell a really good story. And what you're doing is people have these stories about why they can or why they can't achieve something in the world or in their life, and they've got a story around it. So if you can tell a better story, you can change their beliefs. And a lot of the things that are holding people back is the stories. So day two, we go really deeply into telling stories, as well as then standing on the stage, where to stand, why to stand there, how to make people feel stuff, and how to hold their attention, body language, a bit of tonality and stuff like that. By day number three, we start putting everything together. And we use some really powerful language patterns that connects everybody in the room. So what I mean by everybody in the room is that one-to-one, it's already difficult to hold people's attention, right? Have you ever had those conversations where you just see people's eyes disappear?
Yeah.
Yeah? Or you've been listening to someone, you're like, what are they talking about right now? That's amplified 100 times in front of 100 people, obviously, right? So imagine trying to hold everybody's attention. That's what you need to do as a good speaker, is to be able to hold everyone's attention in the entire room. So we go through different language patterns to be able to do that. How to tell general relatable experiences that connect to your points so that it connects to everybody. And when you start putting those things into your speech, people are like, yeah, he gets me or she gets me. They understand me deeply. So therefore they start to trust you. And by the end of the 3 days, you've got about a 60 to 90 minute presentation that you can use for everything. You can shorten that and you have your own signature talk for 15 to 30 to 60 minutes. Just depends on how you want to use it.
So you get people who come to you from, I'm guessing, the corporate world, public speaking? What entrepreneurs? What's your main demographic of people who be at the speaking courses? Maybe we'll get better at dating.
Oh, it's a whole thing, yeah, for sure. Yeah, communication, baby, let's go. I've got a bit of corporate because a lot of people get caught up with corporate jargon. Get some freelancers, get some coaches, instructors, people who are engineers, people with digital marketing. People start to realize that communication affects every area of your life. So it's not one set. I don't niche that deeply in what I do, even though I probably should. I don't know. But I like catching a wider net of people. So it's a big mix of people. Amazing.
And so what would you say, like having a digital age now, like where so many things online, how has that, from what you've seen, your experience, or maybe what comes through your front door, impacted our ability to communicate effectively?
I think it's helped our ability to communicate online, but not necessarily in person. And what I mean by that is people get really good at speaking on camera or speaking on podcasts. But then what happens when the podcast turns off? You know, for example, like when we first met in the other room, it wasn't a boring conversation.
No. Oh, no.
Right? But a lot of people, those initial conversations are, what do I talk about? I don't know how to make this interesting. And it's awkward for a lot of people because so many people are used to texting, so stream of consciousness. Not many people are used to getting those thoughts out of their mouth to other people.
Yeah.
So I think it has helped a lot of people in different ways, but it's starting to disconnect us and stop our ability to communicate.
Yeah. And so what would you say is a linchpin of how we can get better in person?
Firstly, like anything, it will always come back to intention, always. I think I mentioned it before. If you start with the intention to make somebody's day better, just 1%, then that will change your communication straight away.